Money definitely changes people, but this isn't necessarily a bad thing, right? Some people say, oh, I don't let the money change me, oh, blah, blah, blah. Listen, money actually changes people, right? When I started making a lot more money, I started changing as a person. When I started seeing success in my business, I started changing as a person, right? And this isn't a negative thing, right? Some people, when they get a lot of money, they start acting out more. No, for me, I think once you start making a lot of money, you start achieving a lot more growth, spiritually, mentally, and physically, right? It literally is a whole vibe change, like your entire vibe changes. You ever see those guys that walk around in Miami, and sometimes you'll take one look at them and you're like, I could tell this guy's rich, just by looking at him. It's because your literal entire vibe changes once you start making money, right? Once you start making money and using that money to be happy, right? It's not necessarily about the money per se, but the money really amplifies who you are. It really gets into the nitty-gritty and really amplifies your personality. Once I started making a lot of money, I wasn't necessarily thinking about doing things that I wasn't before. I didn't necessarily change, but I became a more true version of myself, a more unashamed version of myself, a version of myself where I said, hey, I want to do this today, and I'm not going to let anyone else judge me for it. And I was already thinking about doing it. But the money makes it real. The money gives you the ability to do things, to really get on your own ship and decide which direction the sails are going to go. You know what I'm saying? So money isn't necessarily a bad thing. Some people look at a lot of money as a stigma, that it can make people do bad stuff. Yeah, it can, but it can also make people do great things, right? And if you were a great guy before you had a lot of money, the fact of the matter is you're probably going to be a great guy after you make a lot of money. You're just going to become an even greater guy after that, right? And if you were already doing things you didn't like, that people didn't like before you had money, that's going to get amplified too once you make a lot of money. Money doesn't necessarily corrupt people just in general. It just makes you become a higher version of yourself, a more amplified version of yourself, a stronger version of yourself. And this isn't a bad thing, right? If you have behaviors you want to resolve, go ahead and resolve them. But money will improve your life in every way whatsoever.